And Trump's just making an observation and stating a fact when he said that pregnancy is an inconvenience for business. That is truly a simple fact of life. Just like erectile dysfunction is an inconvenience for men, and periods and PMS is an inconvenience for women. Like, these are just facts of life. So who knows in what context that interview was being discussed. But when Trump says that one sentence and they pull it out of whatever he was explaining about the workforce and about how pregnancy is an inconvenience for business, then Hillary Clinton's going to take that sentence and turn that into a commercial? Like, how irresponsible, how insulting, how misleading, how disgusting, how pathetic. And who would hear that and say, "Wow, what a horrible, horrible person against women." Like, because he said a fact that yes, there's a loss of productivity, and and you have to train someone new, or it's inefficient, and it's not ideal. It's just a fact. But it's not like he said, "And I punish pregnant women from my company. Anyone who's pregnant, they get fired from my..." It's not like he said any of that stuff, you know? He's just stating a freaking observation of a factual point in some kind of long-ass interview, and then they pull that sentence out, and Hillary Clinton makes a soundbite. Just like she takes all of his soundbites and makes them these horrible-sounding things like, if you're flat-chested, you can't be a 10. It's very hard to be a 10 if you're flat-chested. That's his opinion, right? He said that on the Howard Stern show 25 years ago. That was a headline news story 3 weeks ago somehow. Even though it didn't require any digging up, and it's been known for 25 years. CNN and MSNBC made that a story, and Hillary Clinton put that in her commercial. It's like, it's very hard to be a 10. To me. He should have added those two words, "to me," to the end of it. But then they still would have cut that part out of the soundbite and still thrown that in the commercial. But what's wrong about that? I could say a really fat girl can't be a 10 to me. Like, that's my personal preference on attraction. How is that something to hold against Trump when he's given his opinions of who he finds attractive on the Howard Stern show? It's so ridiculous, so horrible that these kind of things that Trump says in that Howard Stern show setting can be used against him, as if he's going around on the streets of New York just freaking insulting and attacking people. No. Howard Stern show setting and the beauty pageant setting, those are exceptions to basic thoughts that you may have about how someone should act. And let me totally put you in Trump's shoes for a second about the locker room banter. Okay, athletes are now coming forward and saying, "That's not locker room banter. We don't hear that kind of thing. We don't talk like that in our locker rooms." Yeah, well, athletes of sports teams, guess what? You're employees, okay? You got the owner walking through. You got upper management walking through. You got media outlets walking through. You got all kinds of employees of the stadium and of the team walking through. So, of course, you're not going to freaking talk as freely as a private billionaire locker room setting would talk. And that's what Trump does. It's really sad that people can't think outside the box and put themselves in Trump's shoes. He's a billionaire with a lot of power and celebrity status. So when he says that's locker room banter, okay, we don't need you to compare your junior high school and high school locker room experiences to his, okay? Because you're not a billionaire, and you don't have celebrity status, and you don't have all that power. So you can't compare the two, okay? What he means is that's private billionaire locker room banter. So all of your criticisms against him and trying to like disprove that that's locker room banter is completely not comparable and absurd to try to do so. These athletes that are coming forward because they love Hillary Clinton and their PC because they have brands to protect, and they are just basically little robots to the system. Though that's not locker room banter. We don't talk like that. Yeah, well, You have an owner and upper management and stadium employees and team employees and media outlets and reporters walking all through your locker room all the time, and you're accountable for what you say because you're an employee of that team. So your locker room isn't even 2% free to say what you want, like the kind of locker room Trump's talking about being in, okay? Trump answers to nobody. Trump is truly free, and that's why he's anti-PC. And that's why he talks the way he does. It is so liberating. I mean, I can only imagine how it is. I work for myself, so I can relate on the smallest scale to him because I don't have to answer to anybody. I don't fear consequence or repercussion for anything I say for exercising my free speech. And that's Trump. So it's just sad to me that you got these athletes that are trying to compare their minuscule, pathetic situations in the locker rooms that they've experienced to freaking private billionaire, star power, celebrity status locker room banter experiences, okay? Don't even try to compare it. They aren't comparable. I mean, all he was saying on that Access Hollywood video was, because again, he doesn't articulate it. He's freaking he's hearing all these things from a group of guys on a bus with a lot of noise, so he's just summarizing a few quick points. But what he means is, he's at first or second base, and then he's not asking the freaking safe zone bullshit that campuses have nowadays. You have to ask each base you go to, girl, is it okay if I proceed to the next base? Girl, can I now go to third base? Girl, can I now go for home plate? That's all Trump was saying. Is like, he gets the green light, okay? He's flirting, he gets a green light, and then he assumes that it's okay to proceed and go in for a kiss or move his hand up the skirt. It's like he's already gotten past that initial flirtation phase. He is not going up to strangers and sexually assaulting them. This was freaking bus banter with lots of noises and distractions, and he's not elaborating on his sentences, but it's so obvious that that's what he meant. Like, there are no victims except for these 4 paid actors that have Hillary Clinton has had pop up all on the same day in different states. How is that possible after 10 to 30 years on each one of these so-called incidents? They've all decided to pop up all on the same day. I wish Trump would play this dirty-ass game that she's playing and hire his own victims and accuse Hillary Clinton of heinous acts from 20 and 30 years ago too. And for him to take on that reality show persona again and take a polygraph test live on TV at a press conference of his to disprove these things. Like, he needs to just absolutely go so unconventional, keeping up with the theme that he is. So unconventional, so not traditional, anti-PC, the change candidate that we need. But people trying to compare what is or isn't locker room banter. And it totally has to do with, is it truly a free locker room that you're in? Because these athletes on these sports teams, they're not in a free locker room at all. Their free speech is completely suppressed in there. And they're not nearly as rich as Trump or with the celebrity star power as Trump either. So, listen, the more power, the more money you have, the more celebrity recognition you've got, the more confidence and aggressiveness you perceive in yourself. And then you're going to exude that on your interactions with the opposite sex, unless you're gay and then the same sex. But he doesn't not go up to strangers assaulting them. He obviously strikes up a conversation and is flirting with them and obviously gets to first base, and then at some point then he takes the initiative and goes to second base, and he takes the initiative and goes to third. He's making the assumptions after already making that connection and that spark. Then he's, taking the initiative and doing the next spaces himself. Like, that's all he means. That's what the freaking Access Hollywood tape on that bus is what he's saying on there. So, it's just sad. It's so sad that what may prevent Trump from being the president is just a bunch of private sex talk from 10 to 30 years ago. And it's like you're judging someone for what they do in bed. It's disgusting. Like, if someone wants to role play family incest or whatever kinks they got in bed, like, if it's like that, it's as if that kind of stuff leaked on Trump, because this is on the same pathetic bottom of the barrel level, just to freaking keep throwing out sound bites of Trump from the Howard Stern show 25 years ago, when it was all freely available and it was all broadcast live with millions of people listening and loving it. And now it's breaking news. It's just unimaginable that these are our reputable, these are our mass media outlets, CNN and MSNBC, just spamming you with this repetitive nonsense of what Trump said on the Howard Stern show on this day and that day of this month and of this year and that year of 20 years ago and 21 years ago and 22 years ago. It's like, how is this news? It's not news. This is not new. This was already all public. Just because you're choosing to freaking replay it today doesn't make this news. And to freaking just so obviously just sit on it, decide you're going to call it news in October, a month before the election, just makes it even more obvious that you're colluding with Hillary Clinton to make her president, because we got to follow the status quo, because the media needs Hillary Clinton to be president, because you don't like being called out by Trump, huh? And the media loves PC. They just love political correctness. And you're just brainwashing a whole society to be so PC and to punish people for having opinions and to speaking their mind, and then destroy their livelihoods so they have no jobs anymore, and their employers fire them. Kurt Schilling from ESPN, Manny Pacquiao from Nike, Don Imus from the radio, and Judy from the radio, and the cook lady. So many, just hundreds of examples of people that have been fired for expressing their views and opinions. It's sickening, it's disgusting, and here we are